Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters. Our last match of the day is going to be a battle for Zalae and Monsanto. Monsanto in first place with a couple of games lead right now. And then Zalae looking to make up some of that distance. We're starting to see the separation from a few from the rest of the pack here. Monsanto came into this year as the third place in points, and we kind of talked about how points leaders tend to be some of the biggest threats in competitions, period.
Yeah.
And we're going to see whether or not Monsanto can carry this momentum that Mage has over into the match, or perhaps maybe that last falter from Bloody Face up against Eddie will show that maybe the Warrior's not so bad against the Mage.
Yeah.
Hard to say. I feel like Mage still has a pretty decisive advantage.
I still do, but I really like Zalae's list specifically against the Mage. He does have the consistency of one drops with double Attorney Rover, double Town Crier. He still has the full bomb package with Augmented Elrics, Clockwork Goblins, and Wrench Calibers. But like all of his techs just kind of line up nicely. He doesn't have dead cards like Archivist Elysiana. Spellbreaker can sometimes be very good in the deck, and he still has a Brawl as a fallback in case the Mage gets ahead on board. So his ability to play for tempo is definitely there, but also his ability to kind of play for the late game in an emergency situation is still there. Omega Assembly is the break the glass in case of emergency one of, as well as Brawl. So I do like his deck against the Mage, more so than I liked Eddie's against the Mage. So I don't know. I still think it's Mage advantage as well, especially once you factor in the Luna's Pocket Galaxy in the tertiary deck for Monsanto. But man, Warrior's got game against everything.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why people like Warrior. It's a very safe choice. You know, quite frankly, playing a Warrior deck tends to be pretty straightforward in terms of your game plan. Whether it's identifying yourself as the person that needs to curve out or a person that needs to play defensive. And I'm not saying that's an easy deck to play, because I actually think that there's very few, like, quote, air quote, brain dead decks right now in Hearthstone. When I'm talking about brain dead decks, I think the closest to it might have been Secret Paladin back in the day. Excuse me, I'm getting very emotional apparently when I think about
We know,
Secret
Dan,
Paladin.
you loved Secret Paladin.
Yeah, the spirit of Korra just possessed me out of nowhere. People don't know, Korra, when she first came on, was like talking about Secret Paladin a lot back in the day, because
Yeah.
I think that was one of her highest results on ladder back then. But Secret Paladin was largely labeled again, quote, a brain dead deck, because you would just want to play your Zombie Chow on 1, and you want to play your Muster for Battle on 3, and to Pilot Shredder and curve out to Mysterious Challenger. And if you didn't have it, you tried your best to survive until you got it, and that was that.
Time runs out on me.
I feel like no deck really has that. I feel like part of what makes a deck powerful currently in Hearthstone is its versatility of play options. The more ways you can handle all kinds of decks, the better it is. The one exception to that seems to be Token Druid, but that's why Token Druid isn't very popular top-tier tournament deck, I'd say. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but that's just like a small theory of mine. Monsanto has a very funny way to generate spells off this Mana Cyclone. He could also just save...
Ray of Frost, both his mirror image tokens.
Yeah, Ray of Frost, both his mirror image tokens. That's the way he can cash in on the value now. And I like it because even though he has these mirror images out, he knows that that can get shut down by a shield slam.
Not the greatest of pickups here from the Mana Cyclone. Arcane Missile's Icicle, Mirror Entity, all very situational. Maybe good against a token deck, not so great against Warrior. What you want is just straight up value. Mirror Entity may have some. Also, Secrets just in general force your opponent to play in a different way to try and best play around that.
Yeah, I think with this kind of tempo play from Monsanto, he's trying to generate resource to get ahead of Zalae, and then, you know, obviously, if it doesn't pan out well with like his board getting cleared by, say, a Warpath, you know, he'd be stuck in a tough spot. But I think this kind of aggression is perfectly fine, given that his hand isn't going to improve in plays very easily. if he draws Mountain Giant, for example, he's still far away from making it a viable threat. So utilizing the Sorcerer Apprentice and the Ray of Frost to generate net positive resources is ultimately okay. Plus, Ray of Frost is not exactly like an MVP card against Warrior. It's much better against decks that are fully reliant on like these big threats or just even getting onto the board early, which Mage doesn't have to worry too much about Warrior. So Zalae sees this mirror image. If he sets up Wrench Caliber, he has an opportunity for Dynamatic to potentially clear, but he has to consider all the possibility of secrets first.
Yeah. I mean, I think Wrench Caliber just plays in around most of the secrets because Splitting Image, you're happy to give him another mirror image token because then that means, one, you have the secret out of the way, and two, a second mirror image, not so threatening. You know, there is some merit to thinking about, well, if it is Counterspell, when am I going to be able to play a spell into Counterspell to get it out of the way? Like, what happens if my opponent develops a threat in the next couple turns, and then I still haven't checked for Counterspell, and I need to brawl, for instance?
Yeah, it's not the next turn because Monsanto has 6 cards in hand. His Giant would cost 7. So he doesn't need to have access to that brawl on command. If he was sensing that a Mountain Giant type scenario would be existing, he'd probably have to preemptively test the secrets.
What to do?
And for now, he's eliminated 1 with Splitting Image. Monsanto doesn't have a very solid play that's mana efficient here. I think he could drop the Stargazer Luna. Stargazer Luna would make it resilient against Dynamatic, which is something he's considering. It's not resilient against Militia Commander, but it is good against Ziliac. So all those things combined, it seems like it's totally fine for Monsanto to drop a minion here. He chooses the buffoon, or I was gonna say baboon.
Isn't it a baboon?
It's a buffoon.
It's a baboon buffoon.
It's a banana baboon buffoon.
Yep. It is.
Well, this just got cleared by the Dynamatic.
Yeah. It's a little bit interesting. Just the banana expenditure.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess he realizes that he's going to get a Dynamatic off of it if that's the case, but then you'd probably just want to hold on to both bananas.
Right.
If you expect Dynamatic, because then you get a Dynamatic and you have 2 bananas in hand.
That is correct. Yes. If he held onto the second banana, he could like banana once trade over and then be all the better for it. I do find that pretty interesting, using that 1 banana if you know that you're vulnerable to that Dynamatic.
I wonder what it was playing around.
It has to, I mean, Monsanto is not, you know, he's not a fool. He's not a bad player. He was definitely thinking about something, just not popping into my head immediately. It could be the fact that maybe he's trying to spend some of his cards in his hand to free up space, but I don't think that's the case either. Job's done. Picks up the Mountain Giant off the Sandbinder, which means it's playable next turn. He has a Khadgar already, so his mission is pretty clear, which is keep his hand size high. Which I guess he wishes he had that second.
I know, that's the kind of thing. It's like,
yeah,
there's got to be a reason, but I can't find it.
Yeah, I can't find it, and it's always one of those things. Like when you're focusing on the player.
Warpath.
Yes. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Warpath ×2 would have cleared everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Found it, Dan.
Yeah, you know, when you're like playing, it's very like you're focusing on like a series of thoughts and you're following it, but
when you're casting, you're focusing on a series of irrelevant thoughts.
Yes, and stories and dreams.
Yes.
And anecdotes.
Seems like a pretty safe Mountain Giant turn here. The only thing it would be susceptible to would be the Militia Commander. But there's no reason for Monsanto to reasonably suspect a Militia Commander because he has not seen a Town Crier. There hasn't been really a great opportunity for Zalae to use one though. That's another thing to think about though.
Oh, Monsanto's going for the Giant. I was thinking about some setting up play for the following turn. If you played Banana Buffoon, the Giant would cost 4 next turn if you didn't play a single other card. Alternatively, one thing he could do is Conjurer's Calling his Sandbinder, set up like a slightly bigger board, make it difficult for Zalae to deal with all the minions efficiently, and then go for Mountain Giant and the second version of the Twin Spell version of Conjurer's Calling.
He could have even gone for something like Khadgar Conjurer's Calling the Dynamatic and push all phase.
Oh yeah, that's also a possibility.
Now he would leave both minions on board, which is kind of threatening since they're, you leave Elec on board, which maybe, right?
Yeah.
But that's 4 5-drops. Warpath is with 3 is not likely to clear that. It would force Zalae to have his only brawl. He would spend nearly his entire turn doing it, and then you drop the Mountain Giant even for essentially full cost next turn because I think it would cost 7. But still, merit for that as well.
Yeah, I guess what I like about this is pressuring the turn 7. Most Warrior players want to play Dr. Boom Mad Genius on 7, so this delays that. And then Monsanto can go for a big punish afterwards.
Yeah.
That said, Zalae has the ideal removal here, so the pan out is actually not very good, given that Zalae is going to be able to shut this down. He can actually... no, he cannot. I was thinking about Snip Snap in this position, but I don't think it lines up the best, because he can't trade and Step Magnetic and Shield Slam and clear the board.
He could
Snip Snap separately and Shield Slam clear the board.
Yeah.
But it's not very clean.
He could wait.
I like waiting. Oh, this is clever. Using Warpath as a one-off attack to Shield Slam and keep his board and stop Monsanto.
It's a resource-heavy way to do it.
Yeah, it's a clever play. It's a cute play. Is it a play that's too wasteful?
Yeah.
It might be, given that you see the Warpath used for a Whirlwind effect. I mean, now if I'm Monsanto, I absolutely am going in with this Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah. Now Zalae has the brawl to back this up, but it was likely that with 4 4-drops that Warpath would have cleared. Now Warpath wouldn't have cleared because of the Mega Defenders. But now this is his only copy of Brawl, and he may be forced to use it. There's a chance that he could try and fight back, like, well, not anymore. Snip Snap.
Yeah, so with Zalae, I mean, he actually ended up squeezing that face damage, which is pretty appropriate to what Zalae wants to do normally. He wants to hit his opponent in the face. But by not trading into that Sandbinder, he opened up this Conjurer's Calling possibility. And even if it wasn't a 2-of, he still wouldn't even have a good answer to 1 copy of each minion that's on the board.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of Warriors get snowballed on based off the fact that there's just Conjurer's Calling plus reasonable stats. Like in this very position. This doesn't feel like a brawl-worthy position in normal circumstances, because you know what you can really do, what you really struggle against with Giants. But he knows there's a second copy of Conjurer's Calling, and this could get even worse if he doesn't answer it.
Yeah, but at the same time, things getting worse means Brawl gets better.
That's fair.
So maybe you force out more resources from your opponent and then follow up with Brawl. I don't know, there's a lot to think about.
Absolutely. It's not something that's very clean cut. So Monsanto has the Mountain Giant number 2 and a Conjurer's Calling. If he plays Banana Buffoon, the Mountain Giant will go down to 6 mana and then 5 mana the following turn. Then he can Mountain Giant Conjurer's Calling for next turn. So that seems pretty clean. That actually gives him the flexibility to play another card from his hand as well. Because he'll still have the mana to play Mountain Giant for 6 and Conjurer's Calling for 9.
The future is ours.
So see, oh, okay.
Time runs out on me.
You're gonna draw a card right here. That makes sense. It still cycles. Good optimization here from Monsanto. Oh, he's trading. Okay.
Huh, he does have arcane missiles. This makes a mountain giant more expensive, but does allow a good possibility for a clear here.
Doesn't clear it. I mean, it's only won once. How bad can it be? But this is where it starts getting very scary. Now, Monsanto's going to go... he's going to go to 9 mana, so he doesn't have that availability for the Mountain Giant Conjurer's Calling, but he's trying to just press in right now with the current board. Because if this board gets brawled, Monsanto still has freedom for the Mountain Giant Conjurer's Calling the following turns. And it'll still be problematic for him to deal with.
Yeah. It's not like it's the last threats as well. Monsanto still has double Sea Giant, still has Archimedean Tinnitus.
Right. Oh, TJ.
What?
I think Zalae may have won the brawl.
How'd you know?
I don't know if my eyes fooled me, but for a very brief second, one microbot was unhighlighted and one was green, indicating that one could still attack right after he cast the brawl.
Dan.
I don't know if I could see the Matrix, TJ, or that's actually what ended up happening. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you.
You're freaking me out right now, Dan. What's Monsanto going to draw next week, Dan?
I'm just going to pick a random card from his deck. And
For a brief moment, I saw Archimedean Tinnitus' eyes flash across the screen.
He's going to draw Arcane Intellect or something.
I wonder.
Frodan has spoken.
Zalae can clear the board here. It costs him his Warpath. In fact, yeah, I think that's probably something that he's considering right now.
What now?
He could also just play a Militia Commander, but his plays are very limited without the card draw in his deck.
Yeah. Has an Omega Assembler, but only one copy. Still has Blastmaster Boom, still has Dr. Boom Mad Genius, so both players still have a lot of high-impact cards left in the deck.
Yeah, this is a very unusual game, and I like it. You know, Mage isn't able to get their like ideal combo off. Instead, are forced to play suboptimally. And same thing with Warrior, right? Zalae feels like he had to use his removal not in the optimal way against Monsanto's pretty suboptimal like Conjurer's Calling setups. Oh, wow.
Ding! They're just trading resources back and forth.
Right.
It's like Monsanto plays a threat, Zalae deals with it.
Just barely.
Yeah.
And then Monsanto plays like this Heresy Conjurer's Calling. Maybe the Militia Commander barely answers that. Of course, that's if Monsanto even chooses to play Harrison Jones. Oh, gosh. Just dead air. I actually wonder if Monsanto is best not playing Harrison, but, I mean, it's not like Zalae has a guaranteed draw weapon. He falls further behind on tempo. And then the follow-up question is, would you Conjurer's Calling the Harrison, or would you Banana it?
That belongs in a museum.
Huh.
Okay.
Well, I think this is going to be a war of attrition, so I don't know if I want to let my opponent stick a minion. Zalae also still hasn't played a Ziliax, but you know your opponent's basically in top deck mode. The optimal way to do this for Monsanto, in our perspective, based off knowing both hands, is to trade into the Omega Devastator with the Leroy and then Banana your C4.
Yeah.
But that's such like next level thinking from Monsanto that if he does this, Monsanto's a genius.
Because Banana, you want to kind of hold in your hand for Archimedean Tinnitus.
I don't blame him at all. It's only if you have a guaranteed read on this Militia Commander. And it's hard, you can't.
Oh, that's even better.
Actually, Dynamatic Possibility makes it that you probably should Banana that.
Monsanto.
Maybe it's not as a genius thought as I first considered it. Maybe you just should Banana.
Yeah.
Because
But then there's like Omega Devastator that makes the Banana. Dan, your vision is one card off.
Ouch. Another one. Does he want to Magic Trick here? He still has a Mana Cyclone in the deck, but I think the possibility of Magic Trick getting another Arcane Intellect? Okay. Vaporize is interesting. It does deal with the minion on the board, but it also removes the minions on the board for Siege. It's a good draw for Zalae. Does he have any rush minions? He has a Ziliax.
Ziliax.
Oh man, but if he attaches Ziliax and goes in, he is making a bad choice, TJ. Not because it's something that you can play around very easily, but it is something in the back of your mind. If this is Vaporize, whew.
You can play Ziliax Magnetize and not attack. Because that also plays around Mirror Entity.
Yeah, well, he already tested just now.
Yeah, he tested Mirror Entity.
But in normal circumstances, you're right. Magnetic plays around Mirror Entity. Dude, Zalae is honing in. He's thinking about every possibility. There's also merit to just doing nothing. Because Ziliax and Militia Commander are both reactive cards, and he can react to his opponent's moves.
There's also merit to getting Vaporize and Ice Barrier out of the way as potential secrets, because if you draw a spell off the top that you want to play, like Omega Assembly.
But he could also just attack with the 1/2. Like, if he doesn't play anything this turn, he can use the Town Cry to attack into it.
True.
And he is locked in. Plus, Monsanto picked that off the Magic Trick, so it was a Discover. It wasn't a Mana Cyclone generated spell, which you don't have control over. This was very intentional.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was Monsanto decided to play that instead of, like, Hero Power and, like, save the secret for another instance. So if it's Splitting Image, he has a threat that he's going to play, or if it's Vaporize, he's trying to destroy the minion. It'd be very weird, I guess. It wouldn't be that weird if it was Ice Barrier either. Or even Counterspell, because the Counterspell to stop the Omega Assembly. But those are less likely.
Yep. So now Monsanto faced with a tough turn. If you play Sea Giant and Zalae has a way to deal with it, which he is pretty likely to, because he knew he'd just draw a Rush Minion. So if it's Militia Commander, which at that point it's 50-50% chance that it's in the hand, then he just cleanly kills it on board. He can go for a play like Acidic Swamp Ooze plus Frost Nova, which would pretty much guarantee that he gets Sea Giant Conjurer's Calling off next turn, because Monsanto will likely play a Rush Minion, which means that he'll rush into the Acidic Swamp Ooze, leaving 3 minions on board, which means Sea Giant costs 7, and Conjurer's Calling can come down with it next turn.
Yeah, but then he can't Hero Power. Oh, wow.
If this gets Zap or Microbots, then that is... it's still 3 minions. Okay. So he can still play Sea Giant plus Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah, and that makes Vaporize nulled either way here for Monsanto. Sea Giant, Conjurer's Calling. Monsanto's looking for big impact minions. More Deathwings, less Imps. Not that dragon.
Double Emerus. Doesn't even look like a dragon.
I mean, he has the option of pushing out this Mana Cyclone for 2 spells in the hand.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't really foresee a really good use of it otherwise. Zalae picked up the Clockwork Goblin. So he's going to first test the secret. Confirmation has Vaporize. That's a nice feeling when you kind of make the read that is Vaporize. He can deal with one of these, Emerus. He can't deal with both.
No. But he can push a significant amount of damage and put another bomb in the deck. There's still 2 bombs in the deck. So if he puts Monsanto down to 10, then with 8 cards left and 3 bombs in the deck, he's in a pretty good position. The one downside to that is that Monsanto still has his own Ziliax in his deck, which is another form of healing which could offset that. So there's a lot of decisions to be made here. Either way, Zalae is leaving Monsanto with a Conjurer's Calling target. So is there a huge difference between 1 or 2? And is that difference big enough to forego that much damage to face?
It kind of is because you're basically cutting his ability to race in half.
And he still has 3 bombs in Monsanto's deck, which means that that 15 health break point is still reasonable.
TJ. Oh, man. That is a big draw. He can go for the Antonitis, he can trade, he can Conjure's Calling, Evocation, and Mana Cyclone all in the same turn. We've seen some wild mage comebacks against the Warrior earlier today. Car and Mech Cthulhu. I mean, they're just solid enough minions. The thing is, the car might be a liability.
Yeah, because that's more bombs he puts in his deck. Ice Barrier is interesting.
Ice Barrier is very interesting.
Frostbolt's just like additional burn that he can fit in with 2 fireballs.
Well, this is just funny because Zalae can Militia Commander and Kaboom trade into the Hakar. Hakar will shuffle a 3 damage Corrupted Blood, and then Zalae can push 1 damage and put Monsanto to 8.
So it's a bomb and a blood out.
Yeah, so then he could die to the bomb blood
Ooh.
combination. Now that's a very specific combo, and Monsanto has 7 cards in the deck, 2 of them which are bombs. One of them would be a Corrupted Blood. This sounds like a great calculus problem or algebra problem to solve, right? When it's like all these different hypergeometric distribution possibilities. Like, what's the likelihood that it ends up happening within the next 2 turns? Because I'm pretty sure if Zalae goes to that line, he has about 2 turns to do it. If he doesn't, I mean, because he's just falling so far behind on the board, he's just going to die. I like it. 1 blood for you, 1 for me. That's a bomb!
Uh-oh. Now a blood? Or another bomb?
A Ziliax!
Oh, connected us on the Mech Cthulhu! All right, that's game.
Oh! You hate to see that. No ding for Zalae.
That what? Is that a new? Is that a new one?
Gong.
So the gong is a negative thing, and the ding is a positive thing.
Guess so.
Ooh. 17.
Now, I don't know if there's a possibility for Zalae to come back into this game.
There's not. He's dead next turn.
I mean, if he microbots brawls,
He doesn't even have another brawl in his deck.
you're right.
He used the only copy.
That's it. Monsanto 1-0.
So that was Zalae's best odds.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 2 bombs and a blood in the deck. Any combination of the two of those would have ended the game on the spot.
Yeah.
I
would say that that's a really cool spot that Zalae was able to identify. The one question mark that I have in this game, the one that sticks out the most to me, was the use of Warpath very aggressively.
Yeah.
And then the lack of trade, because he's using Warpath aggressively to push damage and tempo when his opponent already had the trade anyways, and also had the ability to Conjurer's Calling. Now, granted, the Khadgar was probably something that was a lot more difficult to play around, but we do know that one of the ways mages can get into the game, just start their momentum, is to Conjurer's Calling a reasonable sized minion, a 4 or 5 mana cost. And that's how they start like stacking the advantage. And then you feel like you have to utilize your removal very awkwardly. Like maybe Dynamac doesn't clear. Instead, you have to Shield Slam. Or maybe you have to use Militia Commander and then you don't have it for the Giant. And all these like different small things end up leading to a mage being able to press in to the point where both players were playing very like suboptimal like tempos, right? It was like, I play a 10 mana Sea Giant. And it's like, that's what I have to do. And then Zalae's like, well, I just have the Omega Devastator. Very back and forth, very fun game. But in the end, looks like Monsanto climbed up to a 1-0 victory here.
Yeah, and you know, it did come off the. I think Ziliax, regardless of the Mecha'thun attachment, did give him like 2 extra turns almost on average, because it wasn't like Zalae had a great way to even deal with Ziliax on the backswing.
Exactly.
So the Mechthune was just kind of the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not like Zalae had a reason to hold on to Warpath long term because he doesn't play Acolytes in his deck. This is a sacrifice that he willingly made in his deck list. So perhaps in his mind, the idea of Warpath being a opportunity for him to push damage or to like try to get a little bit of tempo makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's like being hamstringed by your deck, which I think Firebat was talking about too, right? He's like, yeah, like I think I made good plays. I just think that my deck was really weak for this specific matchup in this instance. And that's another error that you'd have to evaluate at a drawing board, right? Which is something that you can't really blame based off what happened.
Now, I do think Zalae has a little bit better of a deck for this particular matchup than Firebat did, because almost the Brawl specifically. But other than that, it's still very rough. And now, Zalae is switching to his secondary deck, which has taken out the Eternium Rovers, the Omega Assembly, Snip Snap, and Harrison Jones. And has included Acolyte of Pain, double Big Game Hunter, the second Brawl, and a Super Collider. So the more traditional I want to beat Mage approach. Whereas Monsanto has decided to go for his tertiary deck, which takes out Frost Nova Ziliax and Sea Giants and has included Luna's Pocket Galaxy, Karen Bloodhoof, and the double Astromancer. So both players taking the, I guess I could say, traditional approach to the matchup. Luna's Pocket Galaxy did go from 7 mana to 5 mana, so a pretty significant buff to the card. And because it allows you to do some pretty insane things, has found its way into some of these secondary / tertiary lists for players that want to target the control style decks.
All right, well, we'll see if this tertiary deck could come into play. Big fan of that Pocket Galaxy, big fan of the Cairn against the Warrior.
Someday I'll be just like you.
No answer to the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Ooh, that's a Warpath. This one's a tough one. I think Warpath is actually, you know, secretly one of the best cards for Warrior against the Cyclone Mage that people don't really talk about. They talk about Super Collider, Big Game Hunter, Brawl, etc. I think Warpath's fairly important. But so is Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's like a very core part of what the deck wants to do. This one's tough, TJ. I could see it go either way.
Yeah. I mean, from Zalae's perspective, even if he waits to Warpath, he's likely to get a very good Warpath. Because of the fact that he's maybe thinking Mirror Image plus Mana Cyclone stuff coming in this turn, in which case Warpath will clear it next turn as well. He just gets more value from the Warpath. Unfortunately for him, Monsanto has the Banana Buffoon Mirror Image, which allows him to get the bananas and beef up this Sorcerer's Apprentice to bring it out of range of a double Warpath.
Right.
Yes. So it's.
I like it.
I wonder if Monsanto's gonna try and play around it in that regard. He can even go for a halfway point and say, "I'm gonna play one banana on the Sorcerer's Apprentice because the Town Crier can't pass through, and still keep my hand size a little bit bigger."
Yeah, I like the one banana. I don't think there's a reason, unless you want to push max damage now. But the thing is, holding on to the second banana improves his possibility to play. Let's say he gets Luna next turn. That banana is much better positioned. Luna, a Mana Cyclone, a few other things, just gives that banana much more use.
Yeah. And in this case, Zalae's real only option is pretty much coin Wrench Caliber to try and start chipping through this and set up for a better Warpath. It's not fantastic, but if you play Elic, then I guess it does the same thing, but you're kind of reliant on your opponent.
Yeah, if they have a Ray of Frost, your Elic stuck in that position.
Yeah. Whereas the Wrench Caliber lets you kill off a Mirror Image now, put one damage into another one, which means you can next turn Warpath once, trade the Town Crier into something, and then Wrench Caliber into something else. So it gives you kind of the guaranteed 2-turn, I'm going to clear whatever you can do, whereas Elic is kind of susceptible to, being shut down by other things.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but it is what it is, and I think Zalae agrees with you as well. just take your loss, let your opponent do whatever they can do this turn, and then try to climb back on the following turn. The added benefit too is using Wrench Caliber like this means Harrison Jones is less likely. The mana cycle pickup, like we're talking about.
Conjurer's Calling is also interesting. On the Banana Buffoon, you could trade over and get 2 3-drops. Very likely that it lives through Warpath, because average 3-drop health is around 3.
What to do? What to do?
Could be a potential
Yeah.
for Monsanto to kind of
That is good. That's
develop some
good.
pressure here.
It's good because you anticipate your opponent playing a Militia Commander next turn because he drew with the Town Crier. When your opponent coins out a 4-mana play, you expect them another 4-mana play.
I wonder.
So in this position, I think the Banana Buffoon trade over Conjurer's Calling is the best because it keeps your tempo.
All right.
Pretty good stuff, Marsh Drake. I'm telling you, man, I think 3-mana minions, very underrated at this point. They have a lot of good upside.
Yeah.
Oh man, Zalae is
This is
trouble.
brutal. This is just absolutely brutal.
And I think that Monsanto's just making the correct plays. These are just like, when Mage is able to do stuff like this, it makes the deck feel like it is the best deck in the game because
What
you're able to,
now?
even with just a single Sorcerer's Apprentice and a Banana Buffoon, you're able to put up this much pressure? That's ridiculous, TJ. I'm freaking out!
I hope Admiral's watching.
He's definitely
What
not
now?
watching.
I don't know. He consumes a lot of Hearthstone.
He's probably playing Hearthstone.
True.
I think that's Admiral's thing. He actually doesn't, from what I see, doesn't actually watch that many tournaments. He watches streams of his favorite players like Purple or Zalae and I do them. And he plays a lot on his phone.
Well, Zalae's streaming right now on twitch.tv/playhearthstone.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Zalae could toss in this this other Warpath to try and put his Dynomatic, but things are looking very awkward to say the least right now.
Yeah, if
And
he throws in the second Warpath, it just gives Monsanto even better excuse to Conjurer's Calling again.
Right. If I'm Monsanto, I might press in here with a second Banana Buffoon. If you position the Banana Buffoon in the middle, and you like
One banana on each side.
and banana one on each side. And then just push in for 10. You set up a 2-turn lethal.
Yeah. He could also go for Khadgar Conjurer's Calling here, but there's a second Brawl in the deck.
What to do?
He should assume that
to
Firebat's
do.
going with his secondary deck, so he should know that the second Brawl is there.
It's true.
And the Banana Buffoon in the middle plus banana on each side. Again, if he's assuming that Zalae's playing a secondary deck.
Yes! I love it. I mean, I only like it just because I think it's a cool play, but I also see that Zalae will die very soon.
Yeah.
And that part is not nearly as fun, given that I want Zalae to do well.
This also plays around Dynomatic,
It does.
which is interesting because of the fact that you got a Clockwork Goblin, which is a mech. Ziliax here can buy Zalae some time. How much time? That's TBD, but some time.
Yeah, I think Zalae might have to hope that he actually. I think he like Shield Block Shield Slam here is inefficient, but what it does do is it gives opportunity for Zalae to pick up a Eternium Rover. Another Shield Slam.
Oh,
I mean, that's another possibility. I was thinking about the future turns, like you get a 1-mana minion Eternium Rover and then Ziliax. Huh. Well, now's the time where Monsanto could press in a second Conjurer's Calling.
yeah. Khadgar Conjurer's Calling on this board.
When life gives you lemons.
You summon a bunch of 3-drops.
When life gives you bananas, you make Bananade.
That sounds disgusting.
I mean, Yeah. Actually, I'm not a big big fan of banana flavor.
Yeah.
I like banana fruit.
I'm in
Banana
exactly
flavor.
the same boat.
I just don't understand how people can like that.
Yeah.
Just
Banana runts,
Ugh.
get those out of my face.
Ugh. TJ, thanks for ruining my day.
No, I think I would.
I'll go
if
one
I
step
presented
further.
them to you or forced you to eat them.
I'll put it one step further. Banana runs on pizza.
What? Dude, why would you even say that? That's not even a thing.
Well, you ruined my day. I want to ruin yours.
That doesn't even ruin. That just confuses me. Meanwhile,
Zentimo and War Druid Lotu.
Zentimo with Conjure's Calling. Does it work?
I've never seen that before, and it should.
It should work.
I've never seen that before. With Khadgar. Khadgar, Zentimo.
Wait, does that work? Order of operation,
No. Either way,
it
it's
doesn't
not happening. But
It would have been so cool though.
that would have been epic, to say the least.
All right. Well, speaking of epic, Monsanto has a huge mana cyclone turn available to him here.
Someday I'll be just like
Imagine
you.
he's going to take advantage of it.
I think you should.
Ooh,
Two rays.
He can kill the Dynamatic.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The third Ray of Frost, or the fourth Ray of Frost would be hard to use, actually.
Yeah, he doesn't need it.
Yeah, so maybe just settle with the 4-spell Mana Cyclone. Put his hand at 8 cards. Has 3 extra mana on top of that to play.
I think there's merit of freezing your own or Sorcerer's Apprentice, but I think the Mana Cyclone here is still fine.
Yeah.
I kind of want that 3 damage, give my opponents at 13.
Time runs out on me.
Oh.
Oh, the Pocket Galaxy is too expensive. But he can counterspell or set up Splitting Image. First, he's going to Astral Rift. Finds the Serenite Taskmaster. And the Dragon buff guy.
Dragon Speaker.
Okay.
There's no dragons in his hand, though. Dragon Speaker, Battlecry, give all dragons in your hand +3/+3.
Yes, the Brian Kibler card.
Yeah. No dragons in hand, and no dragons in the deck?
Yet.
So,
Wait, you're saying he doesn't have Fairy Dragon in?
well, Fairy Dragon's a beast. Oh, wait! No, it's a dragon! Silly TJ! Yeah.
Are you? Yeah. So,
I'm making fun of myself.
I know. It's great, TJ.
But yes, that card is Conjure's Calling fodder at the very best.
So, if you Super Collider and attack the Sorcerer's Apprentice, it appears to the right, which means that there's a chance that the Sorcerer's Apprentice attacks the Mana Cyclone instead of the other Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then you still leave an Apprentice on the board. So, this is a tricky situation here.
Defend the gates!
I mean, this is the same thing as the auto defense matrix, right? Like setting a divine shield or whatnot. Very annoying. But the explosive power of Monsanto's hand looks really high right now. Magic Trick to start things off. Astral Rift again.
Astral Rift or another counterspell. I
Dude,
think
he can get 2 dragons.
You're right. He can get 2 Emerus.
I actually wonder if the second counterspell here is right, because you can go really wide on the board this turn, and then you can counterspell to set up, like, to stop your opponent from brawling, and then you kind of do it over the course of 2 turns.
Yeah, but you don't have really anything to go wide with.
Dragon Speaker, Khadgar, and Conjurer's Calling.
Well, you don't even have mana to do that, let alone counterspell.
Time runs
Okay,
out on
how
me.
about just Dragon Speaker, Conjurer's Calling?
Okay.
Rift. Baleful Banker.
Baleful Banker's interesting.
Rusty Recycler and this Dragon Moss Scorcher. Monsanto pushing for damage. Zalae.
He could Baleful Banker the Dragon Ball Scorcher, draw it. Nah, he already played the Dragon Speaker.
Yeah, ruin.
Order lull.
Is Monsanto even trying? So Zalae's best play in this position are all reactive cards that don't do very much.
Yep.
If he Super Colliders, doesn't do anything unless it hits the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Looks like he's gonna go digging with the shield block first.
He also just doesn't have much life to work with.
He has more than he thinks. Like being a 17 versus 8 power on the board might feel like not a lot, but this mage isn't really known for burning from the hand unless they get it from Mana Cyclone or Antonidas. But it's still not comfortable. The second aspect of it is Zalae drew his Brawl, but is this a Brawl-worthy board, given that you know your opponent has another Conjurer's Calling in hand?
It's a tough situation.
I must choose.
I guess it's
TJ.
a Brawl-worthy board.
TJ,
Uh-oh.
did Zalae just win the Brawl? TJ!
Did you see it again?
I saw it again!
You saw it in your dreams?
I don't know. I just saw it. It's weird. That was a really big brawl, too. And Monsanto picks up the Antonidas. Had he played Luna's Pocket Galaxy, he would have had a 1-mana Antonidas.
He could still Archmage tonight as Baleful Banker.
He can. That's actually a really funny play.
Put another one in his deck, force Zalae to deal with this one.
I mean,
and force Zalae to know that he has to deal with another one.
he already used both Shield Slams. It
What
feels like
to
if you're going to
do?
play Archmage Antonidas, you
What
might as well
to
just play
do?
like Ray of Frost and collect some Fireballs.
Oh, that's only a second. That's the second version of Ray of Frost, so it'll
Okay.
only be one.
Time runs out on me.
It's your best tempo play, though.
Yep.
I'd probably consider playing the Serenade Taskmaster.
Also, it's one turn away from Omega Devastator.
Yes, you are correct. Oh, wow. What a call, TJ.
Well, the funny thing about this is Omega Devastator plus Ziliax deals with the Archmage Antonidas.
You're right.
So, Omega Devastator is still a great draw in this instance.
Hard pressed to find a better play here. He needs to gain life. He gains 7. Knows that most likely the Fireball is going to go down onto the Ziliax, but
Precision.
prepared with that decision. Astromancer with Khadgar, but I think he first wants to deal with this this Omega Devastator, but that takes 6 mana.
Yeah, this looks like a Fireball Ping Scarlet Crusader type turn to me.
What about
I
Fireball
wonder.
Luna's Pocket Galaxy trade into 2/3? Is that too much life you give your opponent?
Probably. Maybe not. I guess Counterspell is setting up for next turn, not so much setting up for like blocking a spell this turn specifically.
Yeah. If you trade into the 1/2, you're communicating that it could be Splitting Image as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't want him to activate it
Or Vaporize.
or Vaporize. Actually, Vaporize is more likely.
Acolyte of Pain here with Dynamatic.
Yes, except for the Mirror Entity possibility. But
yeah.
I think Zalae's in a bad enough spot that he needs to go for it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to play Super Collider. You go into Harrison. Augmentalic actually is just a spider tank.
Pain, speak to me.
And Zalae. We saw what Harrison Jones drawing 3 could do to bring the Warrior back in it. This was a big moment for Zalae to climb back in. And he gets the taunt minion to boot.
Dan, I have a quiz for you.
What up?
What is the taunt minion called?
Free agent.
Wow. Actually correct. Dan is a genius.
Thank you.
Nobody knows what that taunt minion's called.
Yeah, because I usually die to the zoo before I get to find out.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Nobody ever mouses over that 0-3 taunt.
Yeah. If I'm Monsanto, I feel like my lead is starting to slip away here. Astromancer with Khadgar would summon a 6-mana minion. Or sorry, 2 of them.
Yep.
My calculations are flawless.
I supply only the
Oh,
finest
the exotic
creatures.
Mount Seller. So that's a 7-mana minion that whenever you play a 3 or whenever you play a spell, cost a random 3-cost
Runs
beast.
out on me.
Very specific, but with 3-cost beast comes strong possibility that there's some good stuff coming out.
Oh, he could Baleful Banker the exotic Mount Seller. Honestly, that's not a terrible play.
Interesting. I mean, Monsanto's keeping his hand high because he hasn't drawn a Mountain Giant yet. So he could just Mountain Giant, wait for the Mountain Giant to come in, the Khadgar Conjurer's Calling. So he's trying his best to bait out everything before it. And that's why things like Luna's Pocket Galaxy, even though it seems like he's had forever to play, he's trying to force all of Zalae's resources out before he plays his Mountain Giant Khadgar Conjurer's Calling and ends the game. And Zalae, of course, knows this and is trying to react accordingly. The positioning here from the
What now?
Scarlet Crusader also very intentional to stop Super Collider.
Yep. So Warpath here would be a clear, but there's a counterspell up. Maybe Zalae's okay with that because he has the Omega Devastator just in case. Problem is he has to draw on Dodge Boom Maginius, so these mechs don't have Rush, which means his ability to fight back on the board is limited. Okay, Tesperize Square Vaporize.
Yep.
And load it up.
I like it. Zalae's response tempo. Enough stalling. Let's shuffle some bombs. 3 bombs in the deck. Oh man.
Oh,
That's a pretty decent draw. Because now what Monsanto can do is he can freeze the board and then play Luna's Pocket Galaxy and then play Mana Cyclone.
but is this
What
the
to do? What to
Khadgar
do?
Conjurer's Calling turn? You have a counterspell up.
I think he's
How long can you wait?
I think he's saving the Khadgar Conjurer's Calling for the Mountain Giant. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just going for this Conjurer's Calling now. Maybe he feels like he can't wait anymore because bombs have been shuffled in.
Yeah, what if he's on a clock? What if Mountain Giants are in the bottom portion of his deck and Zalae removed all of his stuff and then he was just stranded with Khadgar Conjurer's Calling on smaller stuff? Exotic Mountain again! 2 of them!
Wait!
Furious Sudden!
There's not enough board space for it. Well, there's one minion you can summon.
Yeah, Luna's Pocket Galaxy, it's perfect!
What?
Ukla?
Jungle Panther.
Alright.
Okay, that was shenanigans. Brawl! But there's a counterspell up.
Yeah, so he knows this is either Counterspell or Spellbinder. Can't really afford to not Warpath before this Brawl.
Yes, if he doesn't Warpath before this brawl,
What
he
now?
is in danger of just dying. But if the Warpath is successful, he has to account for what happens afterwards. Pulls the trigger, and I think he just resigned himself to the fact that if he did, he lose anyway. Looks like Zalae did not win this brawl, TJ.
I'm starting to catch on to your little magic trick here, Dan.
It's a bad one, but
A lot of them were bad. I think Exotic
Yes.
Mount Seller is the worst,
Furious Etten was also pretty bad.
but this is a build your own board.
Yeah, it's another Vex Crow type scenario.
Oh, it's way better than Extra.
Yeah, I agree. I think so.
Oh, Dan, it is way better.
Interesting. Zalae not playing the Clockwork Goblin. I think he wants to shuffle in even more bombs.
All right, both brawls, gone. Problem is, the only spell he has in his hand is Ray of Frost, and the only things he could freeze are his own minion.
Yeah, but he could freeze like a Baleful Banker. I don't
Yeah,
think that's
he
high
could
impact.
Baleful Banker this exotic Mount Seller, and then freeze it. And then Mana
What to
Cyclone, get
do?
1 spell back.
What to do?
I don't know. This is actually tough.
I like that. I like freezing your Buffalo Banker. And then I'd probably even toss in a Mana Cyclone. But that's just me. I want to go all in. But I can totally understand if Monsanto doesn't want to. See what beast he gets off of the first. Augmented Illic! The order, TJ!
Blink Fox.
Mana Cyclone. Into a Fireball splitting image. What is happening? This board is insane. An Ordering Tortoise! The ghost of Ike is haunting Zalae! Blastmaster Boom. 8, 10, 16, 21, 24 power on the board with a Fireball. Zalae has to big game hunter this 8/8, or else he's going to die.
What now?
Could probably just play the Clockwork Goblin with it as well. If he plays Blastmaster Boom Clockwork Goblin, like we said, there's 24 power on the board. Maybe he says, I'm at 25, maybe I'll be okay. I don't know.
It's a lot of damage.
I've got the beast in my sight.
Yeah, he has to do this. There's no way around it. Monsanto.
23 damage. You just chuck a fireball here. There is a risk of Emperor Cobra. Super Collider. You can take the 50-50 for the exotic mounts.
No, it's true. It's actually a very important thing to consider. Monsanto is trying to think, making sure of ways to not throw away this game.
What to do?
So he's used both brawls. He's used both warpaths as well. That's something that he doesn't have to consider. Fireball to the face.
All right, Miguel.
It's a pretty non-consequential one.
But at the same time, non-consequential means that he doesn't have to worry about Super Collider. Not that that would mean much in this instance because Zalae is so low. He doesn't have any life to work with Super Collider.
Yeah, and now he's waited long enough. Harrison Jones can just come down as a threat.
Yep.
I mean, Zalae's made the correct read for the entire game that it was Harrison Jones, but this is not looking...
Blastmaster Boom, I think...
oh, he finds a kaboom. Does he survive? 5, 10, 15. He goes to 16 life. He'd die anyways by 1 damage, it looks like.
And Blast Shield would be the same because he'd take out 8 power with the kaboom anyway. So yeah, that should be game for Monsanto. Just on board.
I give up. You're good.
Zalae realized his concede to Monsanto. 2-0 victory over Zalae. It was a pretty long one. Very hard fought, but at the end of the day, Monsanto moves up to a 7-1 record in Grandmasters.
Very impressive and good plays all around. You can see the intelligence behind a lot of Monsanto's plays. Just smart stuff, considering all kinds of possibilities. And my favorite part about it is that it seems like the mage games today were non-conventional. There was maybe 1 or 2 where it was like, okay, just Conjur's Calling on the Mountain Giant. I think it was Saiyan series. It's like, well,
Khadgar Conjur's Calling, both games that he won, yeah.
But like when Monsanto has to like be so resourceful with random stuff, like think about how much pressure he got with a Sorcerer's Apprentice, a Banana Buffoon, and 1 Conjur's Calling.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot. And it goes to show you the threat of the Sorcerer's Apprentice and why I totally understand why not killing Sorcerer's Apprentice is something that Zalae was like holding back on. But you can see how much the punish was on the other side and why it's such a card that people are scared of to the point where they even shield slammed that Sorcerer's Apprentice on turn 3.
Yeah, and I get what Zalae was trying to play around that instance. Like, you're like, well, I can get more value of Warpath if I wait 1 turn, get his Mana Cyclone turn out of the way, and then Warpath that board. But Banana Buffoon was the one thing that kind of punished that play. But Warpath is also a great resource in that matchup, so it's hard to just part with it for Kill Sorcerer's Apprentice. We're thinking back so long, and there's so many things that happen between then and now that could have changed even beyond that. But nonetheless, Monsanto continues his dominance over the division, to be honest.
absolute dominance. Let's check in with Monsanto, who's 7-1. Monsanto, you there?
Yep.
All right. So, going into this match, we were kind of looking at, or going to today rather, Mage wasn't looking very hot, but today Mage with a really good performance and matched up against Warrior a handful of times. Did you feel really confident going up against Zalae's lineup?
Yeah, for the practice that I had, I always won, or pretty much always won. Although I'm not very proud of how I played, especially game 1. I feel like I took some very unnecessary risks, and at the end of the day, I didn't get too much punished. But this was not my best weekend.
Gotcha.
I was the worst.
What was the instance that sticks out to your mind with a turn you could have played better, or maybe a general line of play?
I was just playing too fast, and like I remember playing a giant on his turn 10 where I could have just waited for getting more value of Conjurer's Calling. If he had Omega Devastator, I could just lose on the spot. But there's a bunch of things. I played super aggressively because in practice, whenever I didn't die, I won. But at some point, I wasn't under any pressure, and I kept doing that, and I shouldn't. But yeah, I won.
All right, gotcha. 7-1 in division. That's a really, really big start. What do you think is the secret to your success? Are you just feeling like you're getting more fortunate, or do you feel like your preparation is what's really key here?
Preparation. I feel like I played pretty well the first 3 weeks, and this week I played like okay, but not that great. And I prepped pretty well too, and I got like all three of these things.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what you need in order to succeed in a tournament. Are we going to be seeing you next week in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Nice.
Sweet. What are we, 5 for 5 today? Or 6 for 6? With Vegas competitors? Yeah.
I hope so. It'd be really fun to compete. What are you looking forward to the most coming out to Las Vegas?
Just winning the tournament, maybe.
Oh, I like it. That's a great attitude.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, if you're keeping it up with this momentum, looks like you're unstoppable so far. TJ, any questions here in Monsanto before we sign them off?
No, honestly not. I mean, I feel like I've asked you all my meme questions over the past 4 weeks since we've talked to you so many times. So to be honest, I need to come better prepared to ask Monsanto questions. I need to step my game up.
Do you have any questions for us?
I think we that already. I don't prepare questions. That's your job.
No.
That's our job, Dan.
It's an inside joke because whenever we ran out of questions to ask people at championships, we always asked at the very end, and then we realized we kept asking that question, and it became a joke within our casters. Whenever we're out of stuff to ask players.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you rate Glowstone Technician on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah. 8.
8?
Oh, let's go!
Wow! All right, now rate Mech Paladin on a scale of 1 to 10.
All right, well, that's a different question altogether.
2.
2.
Well, combined, they make one perfect score, TJ.
Yes, they do. All right. I'm out of questions.
All right. Thank you very much, TJ. Congrats, Monsanto. 7-1. You are in the firm lead, and a couple more wins means that you're guaranteed for playoffs. We'll see you in Las Vegas.
Yeah, see you next week.
Glowstone Technician's an 8 out of 10, TJ.
It's crazy that, like, but nobody's found a deck to fit it in. Like, it's like this fantastic card, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, but the only deck that's playing it right now.
TJ. You need card power. If you want a card that can single-handedly carry your deck, it needs to be beyond a 10 out of 10. It needs to be like 11 or 12 on the power level scale. An easy card that is an example of that is Call of the Wild. If you remember back in the day when it was 8 mana, that card alone was bringing Hunter to relevance.
Yep.
And besides that, Hunter was just like a really bad deck. This was back, I think, in the Ungoro days. And
I think even before that, because Ungoro was like 9.
It was Whispers of the Old Gods.
Yeah, it was Whispers of the Old Gods, yeah.
But it was like one of these really insane cards that you have to be like that. Glowstone Technician 8 out of 10 means it's solid, but you need some real broken stuff. If it's going to carry a deck like Mech Paladin.
It needs to be like an 11 out of 10 just to put Mech Paladin on the map. It needs to be like a 6/6.
TJ, you're an 11 out of 10.
Thanks, Dan.
Let's take a look at what's transpired today. We had 6 matches on Super Sunday here in the Grandmasters. PNC taking down Firebat 2-0. Then Just Saying finally digging himself out of last place getting the win over Dog, and then Frozen able to secure his second place spot tied in his division with a victory over Muzzy.
And then we saw Glowstone Technician completely carry Strife Code's Meg Paladin deck to victory. No, I'm just kidding. Meg Paladin just destroyed Hunter, and we heard from Strife Code himself. Great in practice. So I'd love to see some new decks come into the meta game. But then Eddie took out Bloody Face 2-1. And of course, that last match, Monsanto securing himself at the top of the standings, beating Zalae 2-0. 7-1 now in the division. And it's got to be probably, since he's going to Vegas, considered one of the favorites based off his success in Specialists, at least in Grandmasters this far.
That's right. And with that win from Monsanto, he's once again kept the parity of being 2 games ahead of Dog. We'll update you guys on the magic number, which is the qualification in order to go to the playoffs. But look at Frozen and Eddie tied for first place. Actually, we have to get an update on the head-to-head, but good on Frozen to be able to move up the standings there at 6-2. It's Strife go right behind their heels. Very contested across the board. And, you know, I feel like after 4 weeks of play, TJ, I'm really excited to see the final few weeks here to see how the things are going to shape up.
Yeah, the cool part about it is nobody is locked into playoffs and nobody is locked out of playoffs yet after 4 weeks. Because the players that are in last place in division are 2-6, which means they can finish 8-6. And, you know, the players that are 7-1, or at least Monsanto that's 7-1, could finish 7-7. So nobody's locked in or out. So anything could happen in the last 3 weeks. So very excited for it.
Yep, that's right. We got confirmation, by the way, that Eddie is #1 because he has won the head-to-head versus Frozen, but that could also change depending on how the records shape up. As we discussed many times throughout this broadcast, Grandmasters this next coming weekend is going to be replaced by a Masters Tour Open in Las Vegas, Nevada. So that's where TJ and I, Derek Brown, Admirable, we're all going to be there, so hope you guys tune in here at twitch.tv/playhearthstone. And then the following week, we'll be back with Week 5 here at HSGM. If you guys missed any part of the broadcast, make sure to check out the VOD schedules, rankings, and all the deck lists at playhearthstone.com/esports. From Frodan, from TJ, from all the Chuckleheads here in Burbank, California, Studio 5, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time for more Hearthstone action.